The rain came down in sheets, hammering the roof of the old pickup truck as Mia clutched her backpack, her heart pounding louder than the storm. At 17, she'd been thrown out of her home, the door slamming behind her mother's furious words. "No daughter of mine will live like this." Now shivering in a deserted parking lot in suburban Ohio, Mia faced a truth sharper than the cold. Love could break you before it saved you. Her name was Lena, and she was the reason Mia's world had both shattered and begun to bloom. They'd met 3 months ago at a community art class, where Lena's bold sketches and fearless laugh had drawn Mia like a moth to a flame. Lena was 19, a college freshman with a spark that lit up the dimmest rooms, and Mia, still in high school, had never felt so alive as when their eyes met over a shared canvas. But in a small town where whispers carried faster than truth, their stolen glances and secret moments couldn't stay hidden forever. When Mia's mother Ellen found the love letters tucked in Mia's drawer, the fallout was instant. "You're confused," Ellen had screamed, her face a mask of betrayal. "This isn't who we raised you to be." Hours later, Mia was on the street, her belongings stuffed into a single bag, her mother's rejection burning deeper than the October chill. The truck's headlights flickered as Lena pulled into the lot, her leather jacket soaked as she ran to Mia's side. "You're okay now," Lena whispered, pulling Mia into a hug that felt like home. "I've got you." They drove to Lena's tiny apartment, a cramped studio above a diner in Columbus, where the smell of coffee and grease clung to the air. Inside, Lena draped a blanket over Mia's shoulders, her hands lingering just long enough to spark warmth in Mia's chest. "You don't have to go back," Lena said, her green eyes fierce. "You're enough just as you are." But Mia wasn't so sure. Her mother's voice echoed in her mind, a relentless loop of shame and doubt. Ellen had always been the pillar of their family, a single mother who'd raised Mia with strict rules and unwavering faith. Church every Sunday, dinner at 6, no room for deviation. Mia had tried to be the daughter Ellen wanted, straight-A student, polite, invisible in her desires, until Lena, with her fearless smile and unapologetic heart, had awakened something in Mia she couldn't suppress. Now exiled from the only home she'd known, Mia wondered if love was worth this cost. The next morning, sunlight streamed through the apartment's single window, painting Lena's face in soft gold as she brewed coffee. "We'll figure this out," Lena said, handing Mia a mug. "You can crash here as long as you need." Mia nodded, but her stomach twisted. She was still in high school with no job, no plan, and a mother who'd rather see her gone than accept who she loved. The weight of it pressed against her ribs, making it hard to breathe. Lena, sensing her fear, sat beside her on the sagging couch. "You're not alone, Mia. I know it feels like the world's against you, but it's not. Not all of it." Over the next week, Lena became Mia's anchor. She introduced Mia to her friends, a tight-knit group of college students who welcomed her without judgment. There was Sam, a trans artist with a wicked sense of humor, and Tara, a quiet poet who always carried a book. They met at a local cafe, where Mia listened to their stories of coming out, of families who embraced or rejected them, of building lives on their own terms. For the first time, Mia glimpsed a future where she didn't have to hide. But the ache for her mother lingered, a bruise that wouldn't fade. Every night, Mia checked her phone, hoping for a text, a call, anything to show Ellen regretted her words. The screen stayed dark. One evening, as they walked through a park, Lena slipped her hand into Mia's, her touch electric. "You're allowed to be happy, you know," Lena said, stopping under a canopy of autumn leaves. Mia's heart raced, torn between fear and longing. "What if I'm not ready?" she whispered. Lena's smile was soft, steady. "Then I'll wait." In that moment, with the world quiet around them, Mia leaned in, their lips meeting in a kiss that felt like defiance and salvation all at once. But even as she melted into Lena's warmth, Mia couldn't shake the shadow of her mother's disapproval, a weight that threatened to pull her under. Mia's days began to take on a rhythm, a fragile new normal built around Lena's apartment and the small acts of kindness that held her together. She enrolled in online classes to finish high school, using Lena's laptop while Lena was at her part-time job at a record store. But the stability was a veneer, thin and brittle. Every creak of the apartment door made Mia jump, half expecting her mother to storm in, demanding she come home and fix herself. The silence from Ellen was worse, a void that grew heavier with each passing day. Lena noticed. She always did. One night, as they sat cross-legged on the floor eating takeout pizza, Lena set her slice down and fixed Mia with a serious look. "You're carrying her with you," she said. "Your mom. It's like she's still here, telling you you're wrong." Mia's throat tightened. She wanted to argue to say she was fine, but the truth spilled out instead. "I keep thinking she'll call. That she'll realize she made a mistake. She's my mom, Lena. How do you stop wanting that?" Lena reached for Mia's hand, her fingers warm and steady. "You don't stop. But you don't let it define you either. She's the one who's wrong here, not you." Mia wanted to believe her, but the doubt clung like damp clothes. She'd grown up under Ellen's rules, her love conditional on obedience. To be cast out for loving Lena felt like a betrayal of everything she'd been taught. Yet Lena's presence, her laughter, her gentle touches, her fierce belief in Mia made the pain bearable. The tension broke one afternoon when Mia's phone buzzed with a message from an unknown number. Her heart leapt, hoping it was Ellen, but it was worse. A former friend from church, sending a screenshot of a local gossip page. The post was vicious, calling Mia confused and sinful, accusing her of abandoning her family. The comments were a flood of judgment, some from people she'd known her whole life. Mia's hand shook as she showed Lena, tears burning her eyes. "They hate me," she whispered. "All of them." Lena's jaw tightened as she read the post. "They don't know you," she said, deleting the message from Mia's phone. "And they don't get to decide who you are." That night, Lena took Mia to a queer open mic event at a downtown bar. The room was alive with music, poetry, and stories, voices that refused to be silenced. Mia watched, wide-eyed, as a woman performed a spoken-word piece about reclaiming her identity after years of shame. For the first time, Mia felt a spark of something new. Not just survival, but pride. But the world outside wasn't as kind. At school, Mia's absence had sparked rumors, and when she logged into her online classes, she found cruel messages from classmates she'd once called friends. "Freak," one read. "You'll burn for this," said another. Lena helped her block the accounts, but the words burrowed deep. Mia began to withdraw, spending hours staring out the apartment window, her thoughts a tangle of guilt and longing. Lena tried to pull her back, cooking her favorite meals, playing her favorite songs, but Mia's silence grew heavier. One night, Lena came home with a small rainbow pin and pressed it into Mia's hand. "Wear it when you're ready," she said softly. "Not for them, but for you." Mia clutched the pin, its weight both terrifying and grounding. She wasn't ready to wear it, not yet, but she kept it in her pocket, a quiet promise to herself. Lena's patience, her unwavering belief, was a lifeline Mia clung to, even as she wrestled with the ghosts of her past. Then a breakthrough came unexpectedly. Lena's friend Sam invited them to a local LGBTQ+ youth group meeting. Mia was hesitant, but Lena's gentle encouragement won her over. The group met in a community center, a warm space filled with people her age who shared stories of struggle and triumph. One girl, Aisha, spoke about her own mother's slow journey to acceptance. "It took time," Aisha said, "but she came around when she saw I was still me." Mia listened, her heart aching with hope and fear. Could Ellen ever change? Or was that door closed forever? As they left the meeting, Mia felt a shift. The stories she'd heard, the community she'd glimpsed, made her feel less alone. Lena squeezed her hand as they walked home under the stars. "You're stronger than you know," Lena said. Mia didn't reply, but for the first time in weeks, she felt a flicker of belief in herself. The road ahead was uncertain, but with Lena by her side, it didn't feel impossible. The weeks blurred into a fragile routine, but the ache for home never dulled. Mia's 18th birthday was approaching, a milestone that should have been celebrated with family, but now loomed like a reminder of her exile. Lena planned a small party at the apartment, inviting Sam and Tara, who brought cupcakes and a playlist of Mia's favorite songs. The laughter and warmth were a balm, but when Mia blew out the candles, she wished for one thing: her mother's voice softened by regret. The next day, Mia found a letter in the mailbox, addressed in Ellen's precise handwriting. Her hands trembled as she opened it, Lena watching from across the room. The letter was short, formal, devoid of warmth. "Your things are in storage. You can pick them up when you're ready to talk sensibly." No apology, no love, just a cold reminder of the divide between them. Mia crumpled the paper, tears spilling over. She doesn't want me back, she said, her voice breaking. Not really. Lena knelt beside her, brushing a tear from Mia's cheek. She's wrong, Lena said fiercely. And one day she'll see it. But Mia wasn't so sure. The letter felt like a final rejection, proof that her mother's love had limits. She sank into Lena's arms, letting the grief pour out, but a part of her hardened. If Ellen couldn't accept her, Mia would have to build a life without her. Determined to move forward, Mia took a part-time job at the diner below Lena's apartment, washing dishes to contribute to rent. The work was grueling, but it gave her purpose, a small anchor in the storm. Lena cheered her on, leaving little notes in Mia's jacket pockets, "You're a badass," or "I'm proud of you," that made Mia smile despite herself. Slowly, Mia began to reclaim pieces of her identity. She wore the rainbow pin Lena had given her, first tucked inside her jacket, then pinned proudly to her bag. Each step felt like a rebellion against the shame her mother had tried to instill. But the past wasn't done with her. One evening while working a late shift, Mia saw a familiar figure through the diner's window, Ellen standing across the street, watching her. Mia froze, her heart pounding. Their eyes met for a fleeting moment before Ellen turned and walked away. The encounter left Mia shaken, her mind spiraling. Was Ellen checking on her? Or was it judgment? A reminder of her disapproval? Mia didn't tell Lena, afraid to reopen the wound, but the image of her mother's face haunted her. The tension came to a head at a pride event Lena convinced Mia to attend. The Columbus streets were alive with color, rainbow flags waving under a bright June sky. Mia felt exposed, her pin gleaming on her jacket, but Lena's hand in hers grounded her. They danced to a street band's music, laughed with strangers, and for a moment Mia felt free. Then she saw a woman who looked like Ellen, holding a sign that read, "I support my child." It wasn't her mother, but the sight cracked something open in Mia. She wanted that, her mother's love, not just her tolerance. That night Mia broke down. "I don't know how to let her go," she told Lena, her voice raw. "I keep hoping she'll change, but what if she never does?" Lena held her, her own eyes wet. "You don't have to let her go," she said. "But you can't let her hold you back. You're allowed to live, Mia. You're allowed to love." The words sank in, heavy and true. Mia realized she'd been waiting for her mother's permission to exist, but maybe she didn't need it. Maybe love Lena's, her own, was enough. The next morning, Mia wrote a letter to Ellen. She poured out her heart, not begging or apologizing, but stating who she was. A daughter who loved women, who loved Lena, who was still the girl Ellen had raised, just braver. She didn't expect a reply, but sending it felt like shedding a weight. Lena watched her seal the envelope, pride in her eyes. "That's my girl," she said, kissing Mia's forehead. For the first time, Mia felt like she was building something new, not just surviving but thriving. Summer brought warmth to Columbus, but Mia's heart still wrestled with winter's chill. She and Lena grew closer, their love a quiet strength against the world's noise. They spent evenings on the apartment's fire escape, sharing dreams under the stars. Lena wanted to be an artist, her sketches filling the walls with color. Mia, still finding her path, talked about studying social work, inspired by the youth group that had welcomed her. But Ellen's silence loomed, a shadow Mia couldn't fully escape. One afternoon, while sorting through storage to retrieve her belongings, Mia found a photo album buried in a box. It was filled with pictures of her childhood, Ellen braiding her hair, Ellen cheering at her soccer games, Ellen's smile wide and proud. The memories stung, a reminder of a love that felt lost. Mia kept the album, tucking it under her bed, unsure if she was holding on to hope or pain. Lena noticed Mia's quiet moments and pushed her to keep moving forward. She signed them up for an art workshop, where Mia discovered a talent for painting. Her first piece, a vibrant abstract of two figures embracing under a rainbow, earned praise from the instructor. Lena beamed, framing it on their wall. "This is you," she said, tapping the canvas. "This is us." Mia blushed, but the pride in Lena's eyes made her feel seen in a way she'd never known. The turning point came unexpectedly. Mia's boss at the diner, a gruff but kind woman named Rosie, overheard her talking about Ellen. "Family's tough," Rosie said, wiping down the counter. "But sometimes they need to see you living your truth before they get it." Rosie shared her own story. Her son was gay, and it had taken her years to understand. I was scared, she admitted. But love won out. Her words planted a seed in Mia. Maybe Ellen's heart wasn't closed forever. Emboldened, Mia started posting about her life online, sharing photos of her paintings, her moments with Lena, her pride pin gleaming. The hateful comments still came, but so did messages of support from strangers and new friends. One post went viral, a selfie of Mia and Lena at the Pride event, captioned, "Learning to love myself, one day at a time." The response was overwhelming, with hundreds of likes and comments cheering her on. Mia felt a surge of courage, a sense that her story mattered. Then a shock. Ellen commented on the post. Just 3 words. "I see you." Mia stared at the screen, her heart racing. Was it an olive branch or a judgment? She showed Lena, who squeezed her hand. "It's a start," Lena said. "But you decide what it means." Mia didn't reply, but the words stayed with her, a flicker of possibility. She began to imagine a day when her mother might understand, not just tolerate but truly see her. The youth group organized a community art show, and Mia submitted her painting. The event was packed with families, friends, and allies filling the space. Mia stood nervously by her piece, Lena's arm around her waist. When a woman approached, praising the emotion in her work, Mia felt a swell of pride. She was no longer the girl hiding in her mother's shadow. She was Mia, an artist, a lover, a survivor. As the night ended, Mia checked her phone and froze. A new message from Ellen. "Can we talk?" Her hands shook as she showed Lena, who nodded encouragingly. "You've got this," Lena said. Mia didn't know what the conversation would bring, but for the first time, she felt ready to face it, not as a plea for acceptance, but as a declaration of who she was. The coffee shop was neutral ground, a quiet place in downtown Columbus where Mia agreed to meet Ellen. Her stomach churned as she sat across from her mother, Lena waiting outside for moral support. Ellen looked older, her face lined with worry, her hands fidgeting with a napkin. "I didn't know if you'd come," Ellen said, her voice low. Mia nodded, unsure what to say. The air between them was thick with unspoken history. "I was wrong," Ellen began, her words halting. "I thought I was protecting you, but I was protecting myself. From change, from fear." Mia's breath caught. She dreamed of this moment, but hearing it felt surreal. Ellen's eyes filled with tears. "I read your posts, saw your art. You're still my daughter, but you're more than I understood. I want to try." Mia's heart ached, torn between hope and caution. "You hurt me," she said, her voice steady despite the tremor inside. "You made me feel like I was wrong for loving her." Ellen flinched but didn't look away. "I know," she said. "And I'm sorry. I don't understand everything, but I want to learn. For you." The conversation wasn't a fairy tale. Ellen admitted her struggle, her faith still a barrier she was navigating. But she listened as Mia spoke about Lena, about the youth group, about the life she was building. When Mia showed her the rainbow pin, Ellen reached out, touching it gently. "I'm proud of you," she said, the words clumsy but sincere. Mia cried then, not from pain, but from the weight of a door creaking open. They didn't fix everything that day. Ellen had questions, fears, and Mia had boundaries, scars. But they agreed to keep talking, to rebuild slowly. As Mia left the coffee shop, Lena pulled her into a hug. "You did it," Lena whispered. Mia smiled, feeling lighter than she had in months. She wasn't just her mother's daughter anymore, she was herself, whole and unapologetic. Weeks later, Mia and Lena visited Ellen's house for the first time since the fight. Ellen had invited them for dinner, a tentative step toward reconciliation. As they approached, Mia stopped, her breath catching. In the front yard, a rainbow flag flew high, its colors bold against the October sky. Ellen stood on the porch, her expression nervous but resolute. "I wanted you to know you're welcome here," she said. "Both of you." Mia's eyes filled with tears as she hugged her mother, Lena's hand warm in hers. The flag wasn't just a symbol, it was a promise, imperfect but real. They sat down to dinner, the table set with Mia's favorite dishes, and for the first time in a long time, Mia felt at home. Not because the past was erased, but because the future held space for love, in all its forms. As they drove back to the apartment, Lena squeezed Mia's hand. "You're my home," Mia said, her voice soft but sure. Lena smiled, her eyes bright. "And you're mine." The road ahead would have its challenges, but Mia knew they'd face them together. Love had broken her, rebuilt her, and now it was lifting a flag of its own, one of courage, acceptance, and hope. Thank you for listening. Don't forget to like and subscribe to stay updated with the latest videos.